Hello everybody, it's Kylie Patchett here from kyliepatchett.com. Thank you so much for joining me. I can see there's a lot of you just popping into the room right now, so we will just do the little bit of introduction while we're waiting for everybody. So I'm really excited to be sharing this stuff with you because it's something that has been a real turning point in my own business, but something that I really notice is a turning point in my clients' businesses. So let us dive in. I have got stacks of content. Before we get started, probably the most important thing for you guys to really hear from me is thank you. Thank you so much for the honor of sharing your evening with me, or morning or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And thank you so much for carving out the time to come and learn a new skill, or maybe deepen a skill that's going to really help you get your gifts into the world. And I, for one, am super excited tonight because I'm coming to you live from my brand new co-working space, which means I have fast internet and complete quiet. So thank you so much for joining me, and let us begin. Now, you are in exactly the right place if you are a woman in business, or a woman who is wanting to start her own business, but you're really kind of not sure about the whole selling process. You know, a lot of us women actually have these kind of feelings like selling is a little bit icky, you have to be hardcore or hard-asked about it. Maybe you've got some blocks against the selling process, or maybe like a lot of my clients do when they first start working with me, maybe you've actually got some blocks against charging what you're worth or receiving money for something that comes naturally. Or maybe you've actually already been in business for a little while and you're just not creating the revenue that you really want. You're just not getting that traction. So if that's you, you are in exactly the right place tonight. If you are looking for another way, a soulful way of doing business, a way of doing business that actually aligns with who you are and what you want to deliver to the world, but also is a massive service to your clients, then you are absolutely in the right place. It's very exciting that when I push the button on my computer, these slides actually just click through. It's the benefit of super fast internet. So my promise to you tonight is that we will go through some of the most common selling mistakes. We will go through some of the big mindset kind of speed bumps that can get in the way in selling. We're going to talk about mastery in so much as mastering the actual sales conversation. Now this, I could talk for hours and hours and hours and hours on the art of elegant selling. However, we don't have hours together, so I chose to really fine tune and really hone into one specific part of this process, and that is the actual sales conversation. Now I should say also that I do have the chat box live and kicking, so if you want to chat to me during the presentation, please feel free. You should be able to see the chat box on the right hand side of your screen, and at the moment it's got a little sticky note on there that says excuse me, hello and welcome. We will begin right on time. You'll see a box right down the bottom, and you can choose to chat just to me or chat to everybody. So if you do have any questions or queries whilst we're going, please interrupt me, because I really want you to get massive value out of this. So if there's something that you're just not getting or it doesn't make sense, please just go, Kylie, stop, please explain. Okay, so please excuse me while I actually flick backwards and forwards between the slides and the chat though, so it can take me a little while to realize there's a message, but I will. So yes, we're going to master the sales conversation. You're also going to meet some of my beautiful clients. Now, we did have audio and video interviews recorded for this ahead of time, but I'm really going to see how time flies, because often in these webinars there's a lot of content that I want to get through. If we don't have time for them, I'll give you the direct link for that anyway. And I also will be giving you an invitation right at the end of the presentation that will actually allow you to be able to say yes or no to the next step on learning the art of elegant sales conversation. Regardless of that, this is not a sales fest in itself. This is a really good in-depth look at how to master sales and do it in a very elegant way. So let us dive in. Now, before we get started, a lot of you that are on the line now, I can see all the names there. A lot of your names I do recognize, or I think that I recognize if there's just first names. So I'm going to keep my story brief, but I do think it's important for you to understand who I am and what I where I've been coming from pretty much. Now, often when I'm professionally speaking, I will share my personal story, but tonight instead, I've chosen to share my business story. So I used to be a scientist, I used to be a medical manager, and then fast forward a few years, I realized that I wasn't cut out for corporate mentality, and that I really actually wanted to do something that really lit my soul up. Now, I'm a little bit of a dorky person. I like to have fun, I like to laugh, I like to challenge the status quo, and so I went off searching for something that would help me do all of those things. The other thing that I'm really passionate about is empowering women in particular. Not that I don't work with men, or I don't work with men, but not that I chose not to work with men. It kind of found me, this whole woman thing. But what I'm really, really passionate about is helping women to understand that they have the power to create, first of all, health, because that's where my background came from, but then secondly, the life and the business that really, really sustains them and lights them up. And my big central message across my entire business, whether you're working with me as a life coach or a mindset coach or a money mentor, is really that you deserve to have a delicious life, one that fills you up mind, body and soul, just by virtue of the simple fact that you're here. So you don't have to qualify somehow, you don't have to be more well-dressed or more skinny or more connected or more rich or whatever it is. You just deserve it right now. So that's the central tenement to what I speak. So when I first decided that I wanted to be initially a health coach and later on a mindset coach, I went off and I got my qualification, and I kind of hung out my shingle, and I pretty much thought that people would kind of just find me. And now, when I say that now, I think, oh my goodness, so naive. But I honestly did think that I'd found what I was passionate about and people were just going to find me, because, you know, you hear all the time, do what you love and the rest will follow and da-da-da. Well, I was doing what I loved. The only thing was that at the end of my first year in business, I'd actually only created $12,000 worth of revenue, and that was before costs, so obviously was operating at a loss. And I really got to the end of that first year in business, and I kind of had two overwhelming thoughts. Number one, I'm an idiot. Why can I not figure this out? And number two, damn, I'm going to have to get a job. Now, that get a job thought lasted for all of about 4.2 seconds, because I am not cut out to be an employee. I am not cut out to be told what to do, when to do it, or how much I'm worth. I'm very, very, very happy to be an entrepreneur and to have the freedom and the flexibility and the travel and the location independence that I crave, that also allows me to spend amazing time with my family. But at the end of that first year, all I could see was 12,000, and that's it. In the second year of business, a lot of things changed for me. I really, really backed myself. I really got a lot of mentorship. I invested heavily in my own self-development, in my mindset. I retrained in mindset coaching myself, so that was a big difference for me. And really, in the end, what happened between year one and year two was that I created almost 1,000% more, 10 times more revenue. I always get mixed up with percentages, in my second year of business. Now, that's a pretty big leap for someone only in year two, and it was really to do with getting mentorship and investing in myself. And I'll talk a little bit towards that at the end of the presentation as well. But I think the central thing that I really want to say to you is, if you're doing something that you love and you're not creating the income from it, it doesn't mean you're failing. It just means that you might need to finesse some more skills. And also, if you're doing something that you love, or, you know, the other end of the spectrum is maybe your business is not something that you love, and I would always be saying to you, you've got to do something that makes your soul feel like it's wagging its tail. You've got to have that feeling on the inside. So just keep that in mind. I'm speaking from personal experience. This is not theory. This is not, you know, some sort of marketing textbook, one size fits all. This is the actual steps I took to go from 12,000 to almost 10 times that in my second year. So in my opinion, that qualifies me to share this, and I hope for you that just gives you a little bit of a picture of where I'm coming from as well. So let us get into the actual content. Now, my central belief system about business is very, very powerful, and it's something that's really been solidifying for me in the last few weeks, which sounds a bit weird because I've been in business for 2.5 years now, but in the last few weeks I've really been reflecting on what it is that is my central message and what it is that is my key belief system. And this is it. I believe that feminine magnetism is changing the world. I believe it is possible to be both soulful and successful, both peaceful and powerful, and both deeply devoted to your clients and to yourself. This is my passion and my purpose. And I'm very, very excited that you've chosen to join me tonight to hear a little bit more about that. So the question that really is here to be answered is, what gets in the way of us being soulful and successful? What gets in the way? If you've got a business for yourself, are you at the stage where you would say, I am a business success? Now, success is such a, it's like happiness or peace. It means different things to different people, and I would really encourage you to stick to your own definition. Your definition of success in your business may just be making $30,000 a year to help the family income so that you can still stay at home with your little babies. It may be getting to 7 figures and cracking $1 million in revenue. It may be like me, balancing the two. I really want to be in multiple 6 figures, or I already am in multiple 6 figures, but higher, multiple 6 figures. But I also want the flexibility of taking time out to go and teach yoga at my kids' school, or go and paint for the afternoon, or sit in the sun and do nothing because I can. So one of the things that I really want you to get clear on, and if you haven't already, grab a piece of paper and a pen, because we will be doing a fair bit of jotting down. When I'm asking you questions, because we don't have a huge amount of time available, what you need to do is just jot down the top few answers in your head. And you can definitely go back, and we'll be posting the replay to this at 10 p.m. this evening, so in a couple of hours. And we will actually open up the replay to everyone that registered. So you can go back through these slides. But for tonight, I just want you to do the top of mind things. So what is getting in the way of you being soulful and successful? Now, from my experience with both myself and my business mindset and money mentoring clients, is that often it's our own mindset that's getting in the way, number one. It's always what we believe to be true about ourselves and about business and about money that can be the biggest predictor of success. One of the other things that I always listen for if I'm out and about, or I'm at a networking event, or I'm at a speaking event or something, and I say to someone, oh, what is it that you do? I can pretty much tell within the ballpark, I'd have to say, how successful as far as revenue someone goes, depending on how clear they are in being able to tell me what they do. Now, I'll give you an example. When I first started my business, I would go to a networking event and someone would go, oh, Kylie, nice to meet you. What do you do? And I go, I'm a health coach, and I kind of help women like, lose weight, or get less stressed, or maybe they might want to just like juggle their life a little bit more. And sometimes they're in corporate. And I would just waffle on and on and on and on and on, because I really didn't have clarity around my message and who I was and what my superpowers were. But if I ask someone that and they say, well, for instance, mine now would be, I'm Kylie Patchett. I have an online enterprise called KyliePatchett.com, and I'm a Mind Money Mojo success coach for women entrepreneurs. Now that is very, very specific. It gives a very specific picture, and what that means is that people either can say, awesome, I know someone who needs you, or I know someone like me who might need you, that type of thing. But if you're not clear on it. So one of the things that I've written down as answers to this question is self-sabotage and procrastination, number one. Lack of clarity and practical business stuff like building a good opt-in, having a great community, having a sales funnel, which is of course what we're talking about tonight. Mindset again, money consciousness, and lack of boundaries. Lack of boundaries is a massive one for women in business, and again, we will go down that investigation in a minute. So let's get to the root of this actual presentation tonight, which is the art of elegant selling. Now, elegant selling is basically the antithesis to icky, masculine, steamrolling tactics, there's an S missing there, hard selling bullshit sales tactics. Excuse me if you don't like swearing. Bullshit is as bad as it will get, I promise. But it is one of my favorite words, I have to say. Okay. So let's begin with the mistakes. Now, for the mistakes and also the mindset mastery pieces tonight, I do want to go through these relatively quickly, because the sales conversation is the actual part that I really want to give you a lot of meat in tonight. But it is very important to know where you could be making mistakes. First of all, again, like I said, lack of clarity or inconsistency in message. So lack of clarity around who you serve, So let's just jot down now on your pieces of paper, what are your superpowers? And by superpowers, I mean, what are your natural gifts that you bring out to play when you are serving your community, your clients? And if you don't know what they are, that's a really good question to meditate on and dig underneath and ask people, what are my superpowers? The second thing is, who do you most love to serve? And how do you serve them? Now, none of this is going to be brand new for anyone. This is not, it's definitely not just my stuff. This is very, very common. It's often called ideal client avatar or, profiling or niching or whatever. But I think that it's very, very simple. You don't need to be very complicated. Just answer those 3 questions. The second mistake that I always see is a lack of clarity around your offers. Now, obviously, this is kind of interlaced between the first one and this one, but the difference with this is that you can know that you're a health coach who works with specifically women entrepreneurs around adrenal fatigue. That's very, very specific, and that's great. It's perfect. But if you don't have clarity around what you offer them, then that's an issue as well. So what I mean by what you're offering is, what are you actually selling? Now, this is kind of a deeper question. What are you selling, and then what are you really selling? Now, I'm going to introduce you to one of my beautiful clients, Sylvia Chichia, later in the presentation tonight. And one of the things that Sylvia and I really talked about to start with was that she was selling bookkeeping services. What she actually really was passionate about was empowering women, particularly women entrepreneurs, around creating systems and strategies around wealth creation and around bookkeeping, like keeping records, so that they were empowered around their finances. So we had this conversation when Sylvia and I first started, talking about what are you selling, but then what are you really selling? So on the surface, Sylvia was selling bookkeeping, but what she was really selling was peace of mind, financial empowerment, and a woman entrepreneur actually being able to understand the finances behind her business, and therefore to be in a really good informed decision-making state. So what are you selling? Now, I'm not sure what everyone is. In fact, I'd love to hear in the chat what different sort of businesses, etc., we have online at the moment. So if you want to pop in your chat box what you do, whether you're a health coach or a marketing person or a horse whisperer, or I don't know why that came to my mind. Maybe there is a horse whisperer in the room. That'd be cool. Just tell me who you are and what you actually do at the moment. And it doesn't matter if you don't have great clarity, just give me some idea, because then I can really, really talk specifically to the types of people. Now, often I teach this type of content to people that are coaches, life coaches, health coaches, marketing coaches, consultants, people that are selling intangible services. So there will be a little bit of that flavor, but the actual sales conversation itself can be picked up, moved around, and dumped in any different area of business. Absolutely. Now, the secondary thing in this question is, what are you offering? So a lot of people, when they actually have sales conversations, well, number one, they don't have proper sales conversations, but then when they're in the sales conversation, they don't actually know what they're offering. So for instance, it could be a 3-month package, it could be a 6-month intensive, it could be a 12-month. Ah, lovely. Hi, Naomi, wedding photographer. Hello, Justina, professional makeup artist wanting to get into coaching. You're in the perfect place, Justina. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for answering. Sales and marketing coach, online and VIP. Awesome. Eleni, healthy relocation, life coach, personal trainer, animal communicator. I was right on the horse whisperer. That's so exciting. First aid officer. Oh, that's great. There's so many different areas. Okay, awesome. Personal trainer for own business, Mama Duck Fitness. Hey, Michelle, how are you? Oh, that's very cool. Thank you so much. I love interacting when we're on webinars, so that's really cool. Freelance writer and blogger. Okay, perfect. So for all of you, when you're writing down what you're actually selling, let's look at, say, personal trainer. Personal trainer is a fantastic example. On the surface, Michelle, you're selling personal training, but when you actually get underneath a reason for actually hiring a personal trainer, you're actually selling pride in yourself, being comfortable in your body, having no more worries about what you look like on the beach, possibly an end to relationship issues around either weight, or not necessarily the actual weight, but the kind of you know, the feeling of being with someone intimately or whatever, like the relationship issues. So what I really, really want you to get clear on is what you're actually selling. So Tanya says, I'm selling confidence. Perfect, because these what you're really selling questions, the answer is often peace of mind, love, connection, you know, feeling good in your skin, all those big picture things. So please don't make the mistake of thinking that you're selling what you actually are, because quite often you're not. Like sales and marketing coach, perfect example, Kylie. So what are you actually selling? You're selling someone the ability to be able to embrace being able to make sales and market their business. So what you're really selling is increased cash, increased pride in yourself, increased connection, all of those things. So Catherine says, online travel packages. What I think I really sell is peace of mind, personalized travel services and knowledge. Absolutely. Oh my goodness, I need to hire you. I hate booking holidays, Catherine. Hate, 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 hate with a vengeance. I just want someone to do it for me. So you're totally, and what I would also say is for someone busy like me, I would definitely say that you're actually selling basically like you're selling to time poor people. So you're actually selling a service that they don't actually have the time or the inclination to do. Barry says, hello, I'm selling graphic design and mentoring program for struggling creative freelancers. Perfect. So when you're talking about the creative freelancers, what you're actually talking about, Barry, is giving them the ability to create a really great, healthy income from doing something that is a struggle at the moment. And I imagine that you're probably dealing a lot with the mindset of you can't make money doing something creative, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of mindset stuff there. So get really clear on what you're selling. That's so fantastic, because then you can actually have real sales conversations. When you're having a sales conversation, you're saying, I'm a personal trainer and I charge $80 an hour and this is my packages. There's no skin in the game. There's no real reason for that person to hire you. But when you know what you're really selling, that's magical. So let's keep going, as much as I would love to chat backwards and forwards. I don't want to go to 11 o'clock tonight. Okay. Mistake number 3, I think this is no marketing plan or having an inconsistent marketing plan. So what I see all the time is women entrepreneurs out there, they want to get out there, and often we take action when we're feeling on top of things mindset-wise, when we're feeling hopeful, and then when we don't feel hopeful or when our mindset has a little hiccup, we step back and we don't actually take action. So there's either no marketing strategy at all that we stick to, or there's a real inconsistency in marketing in the first place. And you have to really watch that, because you know, there's no such thing as an overnight success. This game of entrepreneurship is all about consistency, and consistency adding up to quantum leaps and what you call overnight success. But it's the step by step by step by step stuff. And trust me, there's people out there wanting what you are selling. But when you are being inconsistent with your messaging, they can't find you, honey. So it's not like you're just ripping yourself off. You're actually ripping those people off too, and that's like a crying shame. This is why I'm so passionate about this stuff. Okay, so when you're thinking about marketing plans, I want you to really get clear on how do I invite people to work with me? When do I invite people to work with me? Because again, often we go through these periods where you're like, oh, yes, I've got to make X amount of sales and I'm going to get out there, I'm going to be on Facebook, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then you disappear. And people have to, like they used to say that people needed 12 touch points to see you before they'd actually buy. Now it's more, depends which marketing material you read, to be honest, but most people will say 20 at least. So you've got to be consistently out there in the marketplace. What I'd also want you to get really clear on is, what's your overall strategy? Is what you are doing today in your business linked to where you want to be in 5 years' time? Now, at the beginning of my second year in business, I started working with a marketing coach, Monique Parker, who was absolutely pivotal to the change in my business, and one of the 3 people that I mentored with that year. And one of the things that she said to me in my very first meeting with her, when I was actually, to be honest, in tears because I thought I was an absolute doofus, that I couldn't work this business thing out. And she said to me, where do you want to be in 5 years' time? And I said, I want to be traveling the world, running retreats and doing high-end masterminds for women who feel stuck and broken. And I want to be able to do it traveling with my family and working, say, one lot of 3 weeks in every 3 months. Now, when you actually can get clear on your 5 year, and please be okay with that picture changing as well, because obviously as you grow and as your business grows, your plans will change as well. But you must always be heading towards those plans. What I often see in business is women actually say, I want this in 5 years' time, but I've got to do this right now to have that happen. And that's kind of like the same bullshit we tell ourselves when we say, I'm going to be happy when I lose 10 kilos, or I'm going to be happy when I find the perfect man. I'm going to be happy when I get the next pay rise, or I'm going to be happy when I get that pair of shoes. It's crap. You've got to actually start accepting and acknowledging that right now is what matters. So you need to step into the future that you want for yourself right now. So is what you're doing right now strategically linked to where you want to go in 5 years' time? It's a really, really, really important question. Okay, and of course what we're focusing on tonight, which is a big mistake, is no sales process. I see it all the time. People having very no boundary kind of chats. They speak to a lot of tire kickers because they don't have that clarity of themselves and their messaging in the marketplace. And they don't use a real sales or follow-up process. And the last thing is that they think sometimes we can, as this is not just women, but because I talk with women all the time, I always say women. Us women often think that selling is either hard or icky or not spiritual or whatever else crappy story that you've got around it. Now, I have a big beef with the whole not spiritual and money. I believe that we can, as I said before, be soulful and successful, and I think it's really, really important to uncover any mindset crap that there is in your head about being able to create healthy income doing something that you love. So mastering your mindset is the absolute secret and the backbone of mastering the art of elegant selling. So let's go through a few of the most common mindset things. And again, this is not the focus for tonight, but I really want to bring them to your mind. And in the chat box, if you agree with any of these, maybe just type in the ones that you have come across that you're working on at the moment. So one of the big things I hear is, I'm not good enough to do this yet. I need some more time, some more training, and some more pieces of paper. Bullshit. The truth is you are already ready. If you have the desire to provide something in the marketplace, you have a burning inside of you that this thing that you're doing lights you up and makes your soul wag its tail. It means that you're already ready. The feeling like you need to do something first to be ready is just a very sophisticated way of keeping yourself small and safe. And I'd really encourage you to dig underneath the mindset behind that, because we are all waiting for your gifts that only you can get out there. And I really sincerely mean that. That's not just fluff and nonsense. That's me talking about purpose and soul purpose and what you're meant to be doing in the world. If it's inside of you already, you also, just by virtue of the fact that it's there, have the skills and the ability to do it already. So please start trusting yourself. And if you can't trust yourself yet, just try it on for size. Just act as if you trusted yourself. The next thing is, it's not right to ask for money that comes naturally to me. Bon, bon. Okay, let's talk about this from another perspective. The purpose of your business is to offer your innate gifts in massive contributions to the world. This is basically what I was just saying. In exchange, it is also your innate right to receive a healthy income and a business that cradles you and your family energetically and financially. That is one of the biggest things that held me back in my first year of business. I did not feel worthy of charging for something that I could do naturally. I have always been able to spot what does not fit, and I think that comes from my old forensic background kind of training. It's like I'm doing the CSI thing, but I do it inside someone's head, and it works just as well in a life coaching scenario versus a business coaching scenario. It's something that comes naturally to me, but because it came naturally to me, I made it not important. So please, if you are holding yourself back because you don't think that you should be able to charge for something that comes naturally to you, you've got to stop that. You've got to stop it. Another big thing mindset-wise, people won't pay me that much money because I would not pay that much. Here's the thing. It's not your place to judge someone else's money decisions, number one. And again, a beautiful mentor of mine who was a speaker trainer many years ago in my professional career actually used to talk about there being three lots of business. There's my business, and there's your business, and then there's universal business. And sometimes when you're getting your nose into someone else's business, it's actually universal business. And one of those things is that person in front of you's ability to make their own money decisions. Do not make the mistake that a lot of women in business make, charging people only what they themselves would actually charge, because your money stories are your stories. Don't let them get in the way of your business. Please. Naomi's saying, gosh, I say that all the time. Okay, so stop it, Naomi. Honestly, you've got to. And one of the big things, I'm not covering it tonight, but one of the big things that I will say on that is, instead of thinking about your time or your expertise, think about the lifetime value proposition for that person in front of you. Now, that sounds like a marketing term, but really a lifetime value proposition is all about understanding what the value that you are offering to someone that they cannot access themselves. That's why they're asking you. If the person in front of you could solve it themselves, they wouldn't be asking you, honey. They wouldn't be in front of you seeking some guidance or some help or some mentorship or some marketing advice or, you know, any of the things that you just put down. They would not be there if they could do it themselves. So first of all, understand that these people cannot access it themselves. And secondly, understand the impact for them to fix it now versus in 10 years' time or never. And we'll talk about that again a little bit further on, so just let that sink in for a second. Okay, often I get told selling is something to be scared of. Okay, first of all, if you're scared of selling, fear is your friend. Rachel McDonald, who I'm sure a lot of you on the line know, I interviewed her as one of my guest contributors in my Mastermind Expert series. And one of the things that she said that's really stuck in my head was in her year of business where she transitioned from unpaid blogging to paid life and blogging coaching. She said that she was going through such great expansion, so quickly, that she just decided that she was going to make fear her friend. And it's such a powerful understanding. The fear is there for all of us. I still have days where I am in a fear state and I really just have to just let myself surrender and get out of that sort of mindset. But if you are fearful of sales, just understand that sales is just another skill. It's just another skill. It's not scary. It's just something to learn. There is a way of doing it that feels good. You don't have to feel like you've got your polyester suit on. You don't have to feel like you're strong-arming anyone into signing with you. And really the end point for using feminine magnetism to sell is that both you and the client are so stoked to be working together. There's no ickiness at all. So the other thing I really want you to understand and really allow to sink in as well is you deserve a life and to do work that lights you up. Again, just by virtue of the simple fact that you were born. Now, I want to bring you back before we go into the actual sales conversation to something that I find is incredibly helpful when I'm going into a sales conversation that I'm nervous about, or really anything in my business I'm nervous about. When it comes down to it, this business caper is not about us. It's not about us. It's not about you. It's about the person that you can help. It's about the people that you can help. It's about the community that you can invite to join your revolution. It's about changing the world. It's about changing households, micro and macro. When you are getting in your way about sales conversations and about being scared to get out there and be in business and scared to give your gift to the world, you are not just ripping yourself off. We are all interconnected. We are all inextricably, deliciously linked together. And when you're not stepping up into your power as a woman in business, when you're not speaking your truth, when you're not living your life purpose, it's affecting the fabric of humankind. And I know that sounds very dramatic, but I truly believe that you're affecting the fabric of humankind. So please allow this to be easy for yourself. Don't make it hard anymore. Just step into a different way of being. This is the universal truth. I've actually got a sign on my office door that says, Kylie, it's not effing about you. And again, apologies if you do not like swearing. At least I didn't actually say the word. But really, it's not about me. So anytime that I'm making a sales conversation or anything in my business about me, I'm like, get over it. If you'd allowed yourself to get in your way this time last year, you wouldn't have helped hundreds of people. You wouldn't have started Destination Delicious. You wouldn't have started a mastermind. You wouldn't have whatever. And so you just have to be on the forefront of understanding that it's not about you. It is time to stop playing safe and small and time to play a much more soulful and much more successful game. And I say game because I don't believe business has to be serious and heavy. I think that it can be lighthearted and it can be joyful. Not obviously all the time, but sometimes, a lot of the time, it can be lighthearted and joyful. Okay, so let's get to the good, chewy stuff in the middle of this presentation. So we're talking today about the sales conversation. And what I'm talking about is sales conversation in an elegant, feminine, art of allowing kind of way. Now, this next few slides is broken into before, during, and after the sales conversation. Now, looking at all of those different areas that you have written down there, quite often Renee says she's selling her mum. That's interesting. Renee, I would like some more information about that. Oh my goodness, that's very amusing. Okay, so a lot of these different ones, so we've got graphic design, we've got online travel, we've got creativity and balance, we've got, what else have we got? Property investor, we've got selling confidence, remedial massage therapist, tech project support, women's facilitator, crisis counselor, Reiki master. Wow, some cool stuff in here, guys. Freelance writer, blogger, etc., etc. Personal trainer, healthy relocation coach, living in Tonga. Cool, that's groovy. Sales and marketing coach, wedding photographer, professional makeup artist. Okay, perfect. So this is specifically about having a sales conversation. And for these purposes, I'm talking about a one-on-one sales conversation. So actually getting someone on the phone or on Skype or in person. Now, all of the principles will be able to be picked up and put into any business. But obviously your sales funnels might be different, and I'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the presentation as well. So first of all, before the sales conversation, I love that little picture that I found. Da, da, da. I was looking for something that said that it was a superpower. And I was like, I can't put Wonder Woman, but I think that that's like superpower kind of thing. So please be aware of what you're known for. So this is something that I definitely, and I'm still getting better and better and better and better at this, because one of the things that I know that I've done not so great in my business, that obviously, you know, things will evolve as you go on, but in my own business I have definitely had two very different sides to my business, and I think that that's maybe confused the marketplace a little bit on who I am and what I do. And so one of the things that I really want you to think about tonight is be known for one thing. Now, you might have several different ways you express this one thing. So again, my central tenement in my business is, by virtue of the simple fact that you were born, you deserve a delicious life and a delicious business. That's the commonality, the common factor. For me, that is very much about soul expression and living a life purpose. Now, can it be used as an anchor point for the Destination Delicious / life coaching side of my business? Definitely. And I definitely... Renee, I get who you are. Hello, honey. I know, you're Glenda's daughter. Very cool. Sorry, I completely just lost my train of thought. That's what happens when I'm trying to look at chat at the same time. Yeah, but it also is transferable to the business side of my business. So even if you are someone like a personal trainer, or you're just like Barry, like you've got two kind of different ways that you deliver services in your business, know the one thing that you could say is the central theme or central tying together of your business. The other thing that I would like to say to you is you need to claim your expertise. So there is no point in your business where someone comes along, gives you a drum roll, I don't know if you can hear this, but drum roll, and says, I hereby announce you are an expert. It just doesn't happen. You actually need to step up and claim your expertise. Now, that takes some mindset work, obviously, for a lot of us, but it also means that you need to go out and you need to beat your own drum. And for a lot of us that have been trained to be one of the pack. Don't stand out. Don't talk about things like that. Don't say that you're better than someone else. All these conditioning things that we've been taught. It can be a little bit difficult, but when you claim your expertise from a soulful level, like I know what I'm good at these days. I know what my superpowers are. I'm also very happy to say what I'm not good at as well. The other thing that's really powerful is you've got to communicate your why. So why do you do what you do? My big why is that the worst thing that I've ever felt in my life is completely powerless. After my dad died and I'd actually looked after him, I didn't actually tell you all of that personal story, but really the central kind of thing that I'd gone through as a woman was feeling completely powerless. And all that I do in my business is about creating the life that you want. And that's what my why is. So it's really important to do that. Also, before the sales conversation, be consistent in your message and be focused. For the love of all that is good, stop being addicted to bright, shiny objects. When you actually do a very, very strategic marketing plan and you actually have an idea of where you want to go and what steps you're going to do to make to get there, it actually becomes a lot easier for you to stay focused on the end game and also to say no to things that don't actually match it. Now, I know that a lot of us want to be everywhere and there's this fear of missing out thing and you want to be able to, get around all over the place and da-da-da. But the thing is that when you are scattered, you actually give scattered messages to the marketplace, which means that your results will also be scattered. Not cool, banana peel. That's so not a saying, I just made that up. Okay, before the sales conversation, you must make a clear offer. So you must know what you're offering this person. Now, it may not be that you know that you're going to offer them a 3-month package versus a 6-month package versus an ongoing monthly package. You may not know that much detail, but you will know the central kind of offer that you're giving it to. So before, it is really important to be clear on who the offer is for, who it's not for, where those people are now, where do they want to be, and we'll talk about that again in more depth, and what are the features and benefits of what you're offering. So this really just takes you to get very, very clear on your messaging. It's something that all marketing people cover. I just want you to make sure that it's messaging that's aligned with you. Please don't resist the temptation to copy other people's work. Resist the temptation to have the same language and the same messaging and the same color scheme. It's okay to take inspiration from other people, but when you start copying people, that's not cool, and it's not talking to your ideal marketplace either, because you're actually using someone else's energy and someone else's work to actually try and attract clients, and then you just end up working with people that aren't a good match for you because you haven't put yourself out there. Okay, the other thing I'd like to really, really encourage you to do beforehand is to actually make sure that you are making invitations often and consistently into the marketplace. Now, if you're in a business where you're having one-on-one sales conversations, which is this is basically specifically for that, I'd really encourage you before you actually speak to someone on the phone or in person to actually have an application question or a really good sales page. If you're talking about an online product, obviously it's going to be a sales page. But if you're talking about marketing, if you're talking about graphic design, if you're talking about a lot of the things that you guys actually said, you must have a proper sales conversation and a really good idea to make sure that you are a match. Get it? You actually really, really have to make sure that you are being protective of your time, so that you make it easy for someone to say this is definitely for me or this is not for me ahead of time. So you're not spending a lot of time with, I know this is a horrible way of saying it, but with tire kickers. Really, in my first year of business, I talked to anyone about health coaching, people that were complete non-matches for me, because I just wanted to help everyone. And I also was quite desperate to earn money, I have to say. And so that really, really spoke very loudly out there in the marketplace, that there was no consistency and that I would kind of serve anyone, which is not cool. So interspersed through this information, I really wanted to dive into some of the real life case stories of people that I've actually worked with, and these are specifically my mastermind clients. One of the things that I really feel is incredibly important is to understand that this is not just theory. and which is why I actually shared my story as well. But this power of getting clear in the marketplace can really be the make or break of the business. And I want to introduce you to the lovely Jessica Donovan, who's from Energetic Mama. She's got a beautiful two little bubbas in her family. And she's actually just released this week, which is very exciting, a very, very cool online course called Natural Super Kids. Now, Jess, when I first started working with her at the beginning of this year, was a naturopath, and she still is a naturopath, obviously, but she had a bricks and mortar naturopathy clinic, and she really wanted to be able to leverage her time and her knowledge. She's got almost, I think, 13 or 14 years as a naturopath out there in the marketplace, so that she could actually create some online courses and online content, so a bit more leverage in her business. Now, she was having a lot of trouble knowing what to do next, and one of the things that we've really worked on is breaking down her superpowers, what she's really passionate about, and obviously she's a mum and a naturopath. She's super passionate about having kids be naturally healthy. And then we actually opened up the doors to her first online program. So we've worked together to do all the messaging, all the sales funnels, all the sales pages, to make sure that she's actually talking out there in the marketplace consistently. And this is the stuff that really makes a difference. Jess has actually just opened the doors 3 days ago, and she already has 17 people signed up to her brand new online course, which is really cool for the first time out of the gate. And just for her, she's really... The way that Jess puts it is that she would never have had the confidence to change her business model without actually working with a mentor and working in the community that the mastermind is, but also that it's really helped her to understand how the marketplace works as far as messaging and managing her mindset. Because obviously when you've got an existing model that is working really well and is making really healthy income as a naturopath, it can be difficult to kind of put it to the side a little bit and make that transition to the more leveraged online marketplace. So just keep in mind that this stuff actually works for you, even if you do have a more traditional bricks and mortar business and you do want to transfer to more packaging or coaching or online courses or something like that. It's all transferable. So we've talked about before the sales conversation, and we've talked about someone filling in the application, and you get a little ping in your inbox, and someone has said, yes, they want to talk to me. So this is me being silly on my trampoline in my backyard, and I would love for all of you to get up and do some 1980s dance moves. Oh dear, I always love to have a dance break. Okay, so still before the sales conversation, but after you've got the application, I think that is really, really important to be very clear on your boundaries. It's another thing that women in business are not that great at. And it's also very important to tell your potential client what happens next. So to make sure that they understand that once you receive the application, you'll review it, then your team or you will book them in. So give them this step by step. It's really important for potential clients to give them an understanding of what the intangible thing that you're going to do together actually looks as a picture in their head. And also at this stage, if you can give them a taste of you, and what I mean by that is not cutting off an arm or a leg, that would not be cool, is actually sending them something that is a little bonus or an audio or a video or even a report that allows them to see or experience a little bit more of you. Now, obviously, there's a lot of writing out there in the marketplace, especially if you've got an online business. There's a lot of words that people will read about you. So what I find is the best bonding or experiential kind of thing to do here is to either have an audio or a video. And when I was, back in the day when I was doing just health coaching, what I used to do was actually send a hard copy CD to someone in the mail with a little note saying, thank you so much for booking in your chat with me about health coaching. As a thank you, here's a little CD to pop in to listen to before our meeting. And what that was actually me being interviewed by someone who was a corporate refugee, which is actually the target audience that I used to work with, who was interviewing me about the top 3 mistakes that high achievers usually make in their health. And it just meant that by the time the person actually spoke to me in the sales conversation, they really knew what I was about. They really knew me. They really heard my voice, and they got an experience of me, because there's something about you know, obviously we're just audio tonight, but if we were video and you could see me, that would be even more engaging, although you could see that I possibly could be in my pajamas. No, I'm not, because I'm in an office, but usually I would be in my pajamas. So just be aware of being engaging there. So it's something that you can create once. Now thinking about all of the different, now I'm going to go back to the chat screen to just make sure that you guys haven't been talking to me, sorry. So Lisa says, my first 2 clients were tire kickers, big time wasting and disappointing. Okay, so Lisa, this is specifically these types of little steps are to just dissuade the tire kicking. Now, obviously, when you're first in business, your clarity around your messaging may not be as clear as kind of 2.5 years down the track like me, but that's okay. Just learn each time that you get a tire kicker, work back through your process. Okay, how did that happen? How did that person get under the fence? How can I change my messaging to be more clear? How can I change my boundaries to be more clear? Where does my process let me down right now? So business is all about, I know this is very, you know, it's kind of like the anti-marketing advice, but I really think that in business, a lot of the time marketing is about suck it and see marketing, because you can give someone a one-size-fits-all answer and it may not work for their actual target audience. So I really feel that feeling this through is a very good way of doing things. Obviously, there's, you know, ways of not having to try everything from scratch, but it is important to do that. Where was I? Okay, so for instance, let's just pick personal training. So for Michelle, Michelle also says, I want to know about the animal communicator. So Miss Animal Communicator, can you please give us some more information in the chat box about what it is that animal communicators do, please? But for personal training, Michelle, it might be something as simple as a little video that you can post on Vimeo, or you can put on YouTube or whatever, and you just send them a link and it says, you know, here's me having a fun 5-minute workout, and you can do it in a light-hearted way. You could do some dance breaks, you could dress up in it, or whatever your personality is. So for me, I'm non-conformist. I don't like doing things the way that you're supposed to. I do swear occasionally. I don't like wearing shoes. You know, so I just allow my natural self to be out there, because then I know that the people that do actually get attracted by that are people that are my people. Again, before the sales conversation, you must set expectations. So set a time, confirm the appointment, and I put the compass there because this is really about showing the person that you have not a serious business, but a respect for yourself in business. So make sure that you value your time. Make sure that you value the person's time. Treat it like a real appointment. When we're first in business, sometimes when we're not actually earning too much money, we can make the mistake of thinking that it's just a hobby, and that's the thing, that you're breeding more hobby energy if you're treating it like a hobby. So step up and treat it like a business. This is your baby. If you're serious about doing it, be serious about it. Now, when you get to be at the time of the actual sales conversation, and this is something that is really, really important. Now, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea necessarily to meditate, but I will say that you must be prepared, you must be still, and you must give yourself time to set intentions and to anchor your why. So even before this presentation, I gave myself 10 minutes of just sitting and just breathing, because I don't like to take energy from one job into another. And I also feel that for me, particularly, it's very, very important for me to set my why. So my why with this information is to give really, really helpful, free information to women in business. That's my very first why. My second why is to make sure that if there's anyone that is either in the room or watching the replay that needs extra help, that they get invited to work with me. And the third thing is just to make sure that I'm holding space in my own intention and in my own awareness for whatever needs to happen to happen. So there is no script, there is no, you know, step-by-step about this. It's just me preparing content ahead of time and knowing that I can trust my ability to be responsive and to chat on the chat box and, you know, be fun with you, because that's, you know, that's cool. I like it. Okay, so prepare yourself, be still, and then we get to the sales conversation. Okay, so during the sales conversation, these are the step-by-steps. And For any of you that have been in business for quite some time and you have been doing sales quite a lot, some of this will be kind of repeating. But I do feel that even when you have been doing sales, because I've worked with clients that have had a lot of experience with selling, this is still a very good framework because it's just a reminder of that there is particular pieces of the puzzle that must be ticked off. Just excuse me one moment, I'm just going to have a little sip of water. Excuse me. Okay, so first of all, when you're having a sales conversation with someone, again, it seems so bloody obvious, but be warm, be you. Like, I often will use the words honey and sweetheart, and sometimes it drives people nuts, but that's cool because they're not my people. Be unafraid to be yourself. Allow your natural essence to be present. Just be you. Be welcoming. Now, please make sure that you understand that fear and doubt and expectation, as in I need this client to make a sale or to make my rent or to pay someone, like, don't allow that to be the energy behind it. And your limiting beliefs can cloud this. But first of all, warm. Be warm, be warm. Now, during the sales conversation, again, reset the expectations. So I say something like, now, obviously, these are my words, and these are not going to be the words that you use, but in the basic kind of framework, I say something like, this is a sacred space for you to be truly heard, to share your deepest desires and where you are right now. And if we are a good match, I'll invite you to join me in one of my programs. Does that sound good to you? If the person, and it's never actually happened, but if the person says no, obviously, that's good to know right then, because obviously if you're setting the container for the conversation and it's not cool with them, it's better to know up front. But it also allows people to put their guard down. When I'm having a sales conversation with someone, I'm actually feeling like I'm offering them a solution, and then it's up to them whether they say yes or no. I don't want them to feel on edge, and I do not want them to feel like they're going to be hard sold to. That's incredibly important to me. I am deeply respectful of my own space and my own energy, and also anyone else's space and energy. And it's very, very important to put that up front. I also say something like this. Now, again, these are not verbatim what I would say, and they definitely should not be just taken and used in your business because they won't sound like you, but give the same sort of container for your people. I also want you to let you know that this conversation is not a sales fest or an obligation session. It simply allows both of us to feel through a coaching relationship. Now, obviously, if you're not a coach, you wouldn't say coaching, but whatever it is. It's super important to me that the people that I work with can most benefit from my area of genius. And if I don't feel like we're a fit, I'll refer you on to a colleague or other resource that's suitable for you right now. I always want people to know that even if it's not right for them to work with me, that they do actually get a solution. You never want to have someone go outside of a sales conversation and you having said, nah, can't help, too bad, so sad, because they've chosen you to be a guide for them. So please be a guide. I'll also let them know that at a bare minimum, they'll walk away with clarity and a next step. And again, how does that sound? Now, some of this is old school marketing, old school sales language, because what you're basically doing when you say, how does that sound, is you're actually wanting the person to respond to you and say good or okay or something like that. It's actually called an agreement. What's it called? My goodness, I cannot remember. I have deleted the masculine version out of my head. That's so funny. No, lost it. Anyway, it's called an agreement clause or something like that. So basically you're wanting people to say yes, but I don't do it for that reason. I want people to feel at ease. So again, it's important in the sales conversation to claim your expertise. Now, this may seem like you're kind of just repeating yourself, but you want to remind the person that you are qualified, you're an expert, and you absolutely can help them with what they actually have as a sticking point. So I will say something similar to what I said at the beginning of the webinar, which is, so I know you may already know. Okay. Oh yeah, sorry, I've missed a word. So I would say something like, I'm going to stop trying to read these slides and I'll just tell you what I would say. I would always say something like, just before we actually begin the conversation about where you are, I just want to remind you about where I come from and why I do this sort of work. Are you okay if I share that with you again? Kylie says, I call them a word track. Okay, cool. That's different again, but yeah, it would be the same sort of thing. Because like you may have sort of felt when I was sharing my story, is that when someone shares their story, storytelling is very, very conducive to creating connection, and especially when you're being vulnerable and telling people the real truth about something that you've lived through, it is very, very humbling. I always say vulnerability is sexy. It's something that obviously you don't want to be spilling your guts about something that you're still, you know, emotionally charged by, and you want to be blubbering all over the place. But if it's something that you can tell people that is actually helpful for them to know that if you can move through something, so can they, then do that at that stage. Tell them your why. It's really important for them to understand. Now, the beautiful Monique Parker that I mentioned before has what would you call it, a sales framework that says Pleasure Island and Pain Island, which actually gave me the idea for these pictures. But first of all, in a sales conversation, you want someone to talk to you about the desired reality, what they actually want for themselves. So in language like, I've looked through your application questions, thank you so much for handing them in, but for the purposes of today, can you share with me what you really, really crave creating in the next 12 months? Now, usually I'm having a sales conversation with someone who's a potential business coaching or mindset coaching client. So I would say what your deepest desires are in your business, or what are your deepest desires in your life. Depending on what you do, you may be talking about your body or your fitness or your health or, again, your business, or, you know, what are you desiring for your animals, for instance, or, you know, all different types of things. So obviously you need to kind of mold this into your own business. But it is really important to go through these steps. Often in the sales process, people don't step people through these steps, and that's really, really flawed because you haven't got people present enough to what they really want. And, oh, goodness gracious, sorry, I just pulled something out of the top of my chest of drawers and money rained on my head. Thank you, universe. That's very funny. So yeah, just make sure that you're actually using, and you don't have to use exactly that language, but you have to get someone to say, what do you really desire? Also, your application questions should be asking this as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so I really, really want you to get used to using this type of language. So what would that give you? What would that give you? What does that really mean for you? And I would say something like, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that at the moment you're not creating any type of income that you'd like to in your business. And what I'm also hearing you say is that you really crave cracking that $50,000 or $100,000, whatever it is, $1 million, whatever it is, this year. So what would that give you? Because it's never ever the first thing that people say. Like people, for instance, going back to Michelle's personal training, might say, I want to lose 10 kilos. But you really want people to be getting clear on what it actually gives them, because it's not actually the weight loss that they're desiring, it's what they believe that opens up for them. So it might be, you know, confidence in a bikini, or getting on the dance floor and not jiggling, or being able to be intimate with their partner and not be freaking out about having the lights on, or whatever it is. Like, it can be so many different things. But make sure that you're getting down, 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 so that you're actually, no, it's not down, it's up actually, getting very, very big picture. Make sure that you are reflecting this back to the person. So what I'm hearing you say is pay crystal clear attention to the unsaid as well as the said. Now, obviously, I'm kind of like repeating the obvious in some of these things, but to have a good sales conversation, I think the most important thing is to be incredibly good at listening between the lines, incredibly good at actually picking up one little tiny sentence and going, okay, so can I take that back? What you said was you want X, Y, Z. What does that actually give you? What does that mean for you? So that's really, really important. Again, one of the things that you need to be asking all the way through is to actually have that agreement from the person, because you don't want this to be a one-sided conversation, obviously. Say something like, so if we were to work on bringing that into your reality, and be specific, obviously, if we were to work on cracking that $50,000 mark in your business, is that something that would be helpful for you? Now, obviously, if you're repeating back what they've already said, they're going to be agreeing with you, but that's very important, because There is a fancy pants statistic that says that languaging yes many times during a sales conversation means that the person is more likely to say yes. Now, again, I'm a little bit resistant to that because it kind of feels a bit manipulative, but you want to be checking in to make sure that the person is actually being heard by you well and you're actually understanding their desires well. Now, the second thing is to make sure that you ask them about the right now. So this goes something like this. So you've shared your deepest desires and I want you to know that I understand, or I've lived through that, or I've helped clients with that. So make it very specific to what they're saying to you. So if I have someone say, well, let's use Jessica that I've already shared with you as an example. If I had a new person come to me in a sales conversation, there is 3 Kylies in this call. Hello. We must all be born about mid-70s, right, ladies? Tell me that's the truth. We're hitting 40. Okay, so making sure that you bring it back. So you want the person to understand that you can actually have my online business launched and productive. Okay, perfect. That's awesome, Tracy. That's very cool. Sorry, I'm going to turn the chat off for the moment because I just can't read the slides and do the chat at the same time. Sorry. Okay, so the right now is to make sure that you're really empathizing with someone. And this is not telling porcupines. I hate the idea that anyone would be in a sales conversation going, oh, I know exactly what you mean because I've already helped 20 people do that this year. Don't tell fibs. People can tell that you're bloody lying. And apart from that, like, really, do you want to base your business on lies? And do you want to have to remember all of those lies? It's freaking exhausting. Like, forget that. That's yuck, 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 yuck. But one thing that you do want to know is that, you know, the person understands that you can help them do this. And then you want to say to them, okay, so you've shared your deepest desires. Let's change focus. It's really important to use that language. Let's change focus. Also, one thing that does actually happen a lot in a sales conversation is when you ask someone what they desire, they can quite often go straight into what they don't want. And so you do have to be in charge of the sales conversation, be powerful in your language and say, okay, I hear what you're saying, which is the sticking points now, but what I really want you to do is just ignore the now and turn your attention to what you really desire, because you really want them to do desires first and then go into the pain points for them. So let's change focus. Let's get really clear on what's going on right now in your health, your life, your business, your relationships. Fill in the blank now. And get clear on the real cost. Again, what I'm hearing you say. Now, what I'm hearing you say is a bloody coaching term that every coach in the world must learn. I don't actually use it that often. I don't know why I've written it on the slides. But you want to reflect things back. So if I'm hearing correctly, what I'm actually, feeling from you is, what you've shared with me is, so always recap. What does that mean for you? What does that stop you doing? What's the real impact of that? And what does that mean? And what does that mean? Again, you're getting the big picture of the pain. Often when you're talking, particularly to women who have little bubbers, or not even little bubbers, any bubbers, one of the things that we all crave is balance and more time and more presence and more peace of mind about our kids. So if you're talking to someone who is a mum, bring it back to family is one of the really big touch points. Always the pain points as well are around money and around time. So money, time, and family are the 3 biggest ones, but obviously you'll know your target audience much better than I do. But again, make sure that you're really, really clear on what the cost is, okay? Really important. So just to recap, you need to recap their desires and their right now point. And then, drum roll please, you want to activate the gap. Now, what activating the gap just means is that you want to actually say, hey, you want to be on Pleasure Island, which is your desires. What you're doing right now is on Pain Island, which is your sticking points. I have the solution. Jump in my canoe and we'll go together. Now, again, I'm paraphrasing Monique Parker. This is definitely not my wording, but it always sticks in my mind. Even now, if I'm doing a sales conversation, I used to have a checklist that I would make sure that I covered all of these things, but now it's so ingrained that this art of elegant selling is just the way that I do it. It's just a simple way of me offering my solution. So it is time to make your offer. You need to stay peaceful and powerful. What often happens in a sales conversation is that you get all freaked out when it comes to saying about money, and you start talking about discounting, and then you talk about you can have 2 for 1 and I'll throw the budgie in, and it just gets all so freaking confusing. You've got to hold your nerve and make sure that you really, really stay in your feminine magnetism, not the antithesis of it, and say, listening to you today and hearing you share about your deepest desires and current sticky points, I feel the best solution for you would be ... Now, this is when you will decide whether it's a 3-month or a 6-month or a 12-month mastermind or a whatever. The reason why you do that is because when you give people too many choices, they will not choose. So just pick one thing that you feel is the best fit. Now, that does honestly mean the thing you feel is the best fit, not the highest price point that you have necessarily, not the thing that is, the thing that you want to score off your bloody marketing plan this week or whatever. It has to be what fits the person. Now, the second thing that you would say is, would you like me to share how we could work together in this? So for an example, when I was doing life and health coaching, I had a program called the Tall Poppy Trailblazer, which was a 6-month health and lifestyle coaching program. So I would say that I feel the best solution for you would be the 6-month Tall Poppy Trailblazer. Would you like to share how we could work together in the Trailblazer program? Again, you're having the person say yes. Then you want to present your offer. Now, again, a lot of the things that we sell in business are very intangible, meaning that they are difficult to pin down. They're not a physical product. It's not like you give me $20, I give you a book. It's you give me some money and I give you some transformation, some change, some peace of mind, some shift, some... it's very intangible stuff. So here's the real kicker in a sales conversation. You must be able to break your offer and make it tangible. You have to make it something that people can see in their head step by step. It's really important to do that. So first of all, I'm going to give you an example of something. So this is my Tall Poppy Trailblazer because I wanted to give you a real example. So I would say, first of all, we would spend a half day together in a VIP breakthrough session. This gives you, now that's the feature, okay? So the features and benefits. The benefit is this gives you a chunk of time to really get to the bottom of all the beliefs and the behaviors in your way, makes space for us to really get to know, like, and trust each other, and creates a super strong foundation for our time together. I would also probably say something like, actually I think it's on the next slide. But that's step one, feature and benefit. What we often do in sales conversations is just give the feature. So we'll start off with a VIP breakthrough session. The person doesn't know what the heck a VIP breakthrough session is. You've got to give them the benefit piece so that you can make sure that you're connecting to the person's why again. Then within 10 days, you'll receive a personalized alignment plan, which gives you a framework for our next 6 months together. It's a fantastic backbone for bringing your intentions into reality step by step. Then you would continue to go down the information about your package. Now, obviously, this means that you have to be really clear on what your package and program is, which we touched on very briefly at the start of the presentation. So you need to do features, benefit, features, benefit, features, benefit. So next you get this, which gives you that. And then, this is when a lot of people clam up. It's time to say dollars. So for the VIP day together, plus the alignment plan, plus the 12 one-on-one mindset, money and mojo coaching sessions, the ongoing personalized email access, plus the Destination Delicious Life program, your total investment is $7,000. You can either choose to pay that in full or spread the payments over 6 months at $1,200 per month. Please don't freak out about saying money. Again, this comes back to money and mindset and money consciousness and making sure that you're not bringing your own money stories to the table, because it's really, really important that you don't. Again, you could be getting in the way of helping someone else because you're actually getting in your own way. Now, this is really important, and I want you to really, really lock this away. Your client is not buying your time or even your package. Your client is buying your conviction and your ability to move them from their current reality to the desired reality. Excuse me, short little water break. Resist changing your language, your tone, your posture, or your warmth here. You are making an offer. let's not get freaked out about selling. Let's just understand that you're making an offer. You're saying, would you like to get into my canoe? Remember, it's not about you. And on that note, may I introduce our next lucky guest. I feel like I should be saying a set of steak knives or something. So the beautiful Chris Emery is a beautiful friend of mine. We met a couple of years ago at Pro Blogger, which is a blogging conference. If you don't know about it, I'm sure you all do. And we stayed together. We didn't know each other. We stayed together and we chatted until all hours of the night. And this was in my first year of business when things were not looking good. And we shared our big dreams and we shared our big whys. And then fast forward, 2 years now. And at the beginning of this year, Chris contacted me and said, all right, I am ready for whatever it is that you're doing. She knew that I was offering a mastermind. And what's been a beautiful process for me, and I will give you a page where these are actually in explicit detail, all of these interviews. I'm paraphrasing at the moment because we are going to run out of time. Basically, Chris has always been absolutely gobsmackingly amazing at copy editing. Now, copy editing is a little bit different from copyright. Well, it's very different from copywriting. Basically, Chris has the amazing magical ability to take words that are written by a normal, ordinary human being and polish them into something absolutely magnificent. She's actually the editor of my first book and also my just about to be released new book on the truth about entrepreneurship. And what I was seeing, which is not unusual in the whole sort of scheme of women entrepreneurs, was that Chris had been working in an agency job, and she was really kind of struggling to let go of the plan B, doing the transition and having that leap of faith to understand that she knew the structure and the way to actually sell and the way to package. But the most extraordinary thing has happened. Chris has been, again, in the Mind Money Mojo Mastermind now we're up to month 7 of our 12-month journey, or month 6 actually, sorry. And what's happened in Chris's business is not only has she kicked the agency job that was sucking her dry, she actually now is contacted many, many times a month from her perfect target audience. And it comes down to not only positioning in the marketplace, but also her having an actual sales funnel. And when I interviewed Chris about her Mind Money Mojo experience, which is in full in the webpage I'll just give you at the end, she actually shared with me that one of the things that she found has been the biggest shift is that just knowing the